We have a heavy agenda here tonight. We have the Premier and we have Minister MacKay, so we'll get right at it and we'll move to the Premier.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and welcome everyone, and thanks for joining. Today we'll provide an economic update, a progress report on how our emergency contingency funding is rolling out, as well as to announce some new initiatives of assistance that we're working on and unveiling today, and to give an overview of what we're looking at as an area of focus for the days ahead. From the beginning, we wanted this economic rollout to be focused on getting money into the hands of those who need it the most immediately, those who have lost their jobs, those who have had their businesses impacted, and those who have had their hours significantly reduced. So I'm happy to report that we've made substantial progress on this in a short time under the leadership of Minister Matt MacKay, who will share the finer details of this with you in a moment. As a follow-up to our announcements from yesterday and today, I would continue to reiterate that this is a critical time for our province. The measures introduced on recommendation and direction by Dr. Morrison are putting the safety of you and your family first, and we need every single islander to follow these measures. I want to thank those environmental health officers who are out there working for their efforts in providing active screening at the gateways to our province. For all of our safety, our law enforcement agencies, all of those working on the front lines of healthcare, and all of those who are prepared to enforce this self-isolation order. I also wanted to give a short update on the call I had last night with the Prime Minister and my fellow Canadian premiers. It provided an opportunity for us to get together and learn a little bit more about the federal rollout of their economic plans. The federal programs that are being rolled out will be a great benefit to this province, and we'll be able to tailor our provincial funding programs to fill the identified gaps. The Prime Minister indicated that the federal financial supports we will be receiving will begin to reach Canadians and Islanders on April 6th. The province of P.E.I. will continue to look for and work on supporting Islanders over this next 2-week period as these federal funds are ready to flow. I relayed the following priorities to the Prime Minister over the last number of days and weeks, and I'm very happy to report that we've made significant progress. Speaking particularly of those with E.I. benefits who are running out or have run out and do not have a seasonal job to go to right now because the economy is impacted to the extent that it is. Under this new program that the federal government is rolling out, there will be a continuation of benefits for those, as well as an opportunity for those who might not have qualified under previous E.I. situations. They will be able to do so now. And that is a big, big commitment from the Prime Minister. I thank him for listening to our concerns, and I thank the 4 Island MPs who have lobbied hard behind the scenes to make this happen. I also wanted to highlight in particular the Canada Emergency Support Benefit. That is for those individuals that I just pointed out, and it's so important that we got the federal government to agree not to claw back any money that provinces like Prince Edward Island would be giving to those who need it the most. So really, really happy that the Prime Minister has listened on those regards. The final thing I would bring up to you here tonight is the Prime Minister has sought the views of all provincial leaders on the matter of the Federal Emergency Act, and if and when that would come into effect in the country. The Prime Minister is not prepared to enact those measures as of right now. I reiterated to him that the teeth we have in our Public Health Act is such that we have every ability to do what we need to do at this particular time, and that we have no indication from anyone at this particular time that a federal intervention is needed in Prince Edward Island. But of course, that is subject to change as the days roll forward. Also wanted to say, to continue the messaging that we're getting out to Islanders, that we're working with all political parties, all elected officials, and many other Islanders to share the important, consistent message advising Islanders to stay apart, to stay home, to stay united, and to do our part. I continue to say that by working together, we will get through these most difficult times to the best extent that we can, and I would encourage Islanders to continue to do so. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Stephen, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Premier. So last week when we closed the P.E.I. LCC, it was out of concern for customer and staff safety. We've been working with CPHO to address the needs of islanders at risk of alcohol withdrawal symptoms and how to deliver a modified access to products that would be safe for customers and for staff. We are providing new options for alcohol availability where there are no nearby agency stores. There is well-established public health and addictions research and evidence to support maintaining this alcohol access for those at risk of withdrawal. We will provide access to government P.E.I. LCC locations where there is not easy access to agency stores. We took the time to develop the plan that was in keeping with the directions of Dr. Morrison and the Chief Public Health Office. Our plan was also carefully developed in consultation with staff to ensure public and staff safety. It's important to note that we are opening the store with enhanced cleaning and enhanced health and safety precautions in place to protect the public and our staff. We're starting with Charlottetown Oak Tree Place tomorrow, Wednesday, March 25th. There will be limited hours of operation for general public, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Hours for seniors and compromised immunity will be 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday to Saturday. We are starting with one store and we are considering expanding over the next few weeks. We will be monitoring this situation closely. If we're finding that clients are not abiding by social distancing rules, we will reevaluate our plans in order to keep staff and islanders safe. In other news, I guess, we talked about creating a line for islanders to call who have minimized contact and needed support. So government has a new toll-free number to help islanders. The number is 1-833-533-933. Islanders can use this number if they are on self-isolation and have no one that can deliver necessary supplies like food, medicine, and pet supplies. For those in need, we can arrange basic grocery delivery and essential supplies. We can also help people access supports like emergency housing, emergency childcare, and other needs. I urge anyone struggling with their basic needs to call us. We will do our best to help. Again, the number is 1-833-533-933. All the other 1-800 numbers will remain in operation, including the COVID-19 health information line. Islanders calling the new toll-free number can also be connected to health information and to the business support line if needed. With that, I'll move on to Matt.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off by giving an update on the Emergency Relief Worker Assistant Program we announced last week. A reminder that this program is to help workers who are still working and have experienced a significant reduction in their work hours due to the impact of COVID-19. Also a reminder that it's the employer's responsibility, once again, employer's responsibility to complete the application for the Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program, so they can identify their workers who have experienced a significant reduction in their work hours due to the impact of COVID-19. I want employers to know that as of yesterday, the Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program is open for applications. Details on the Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program and how to apply can be found on our provincial website. I know our department has been rolling out a lot of supports and information over the last week. And trust me, I know, because I'm getting grayer by the day. To help keep track of which program is which, we now have a direct COVID-19 business webpage link that Islanders can visit to see all the programs and supports we have announced to date. On that webpage, you'll find applications for all the programs we have announced so far. That web link is www.princeedwardisland.ca/COVID for business. Once again, www.princeedwardisland.ca/COVID for business. Going forward, we will continue to update this COVID-19 business webpage with information and supports from our department as they are available. And just another reminder, our phone line and email address are still open for island businesses to share their concerns. The phone line is 1-866-222-1751, and the email address is peibusinesshelpline@gov.pe.ca. Our staff are ready to answer your calls and help you during this challenging time. For my last update, I want to let Islanders know that as of today, we have received over 1,000 applications for the Emergency Income Relief Fund for self-employed Islanders. And to date, $180,000 have gone out of the door and are now in pockets of self-employed Islanders. We continue to ask for your patience as staff are working as fast as they can to get money to Islanders who need it the most. And while saying that, I need to take this moment to thank my staff. They've been working so incredibly hard to help Islanders during the challenging times. I continue to say, the new motto in our department is, we're not waiting, we're doing. Every day, we've been thinking of new ways we can help Islanders. We know there's no time to waste. Islanders need help now. Islanders need to put food on the table now. Islanders need to take care of their families now. And with that, today we are announcing the Employee Gift Card Program. This program is for any employee living and working in Prince Edward Island who has been laid off due to the impacts of COVID-19. In partnership with Sobeys, government will be sharing the costs with the food retailer to provide $100 gift cards to employees who've been laid off as a direct result of the pandemic. The gift card can be used at any of the following stores: Sobeys, Lawton Drugs, participating co-ops, or Foodland. Our hope is that this is just one more way we can help laid off workers as they wait for their E.I. and federal payments to kick in. Like the application for the Emergency Relief Worker Assistant Program, it is the employer's responsibility to complete the application for the Employee Gift Card Program. Once again, it is the employer's responsibility to complete the application for the Employee Gift Card Program. Details for the Employee Gift Card Program are now available on the COVID-19 business webpage. That webpage address again is www.princeedwardisland.ca/COVID for business. Employers can start applying to the Employee Gift Card Program for their workers by tomorrow morning. I'd like to assure Islanders that we will continue to roll out more supports in the days to come. We are currently working on a program that will provide top-up relief for Islanders that are being laid off and that have been laid off. We will continue to share more information in the coming days. As Minister responsible for the Workers' Compensation Board, I want to share an update on the steps they are taking to continue services for employer and workers. During this time, employer audits have been deferred. Benefit payments for eligible workers are continuing to be processed. And the Workers' Compensation Board will now be supporting opportunities for telehealth and rehabilitation to support injured workers and local service providers. In addition, the Workers' Compensation Board has now moved their due date for all 2020 employer premiums to June 30th to help businesses during this tough time. The Workers' Compensation Board will share more complete details on their supports for workers and employers through their press release and on their website at wcb.pe.ca in the next 24 to 48 hours. I want to wrap things up by thanking all Islanders for your continued patience as we continue to roll out supports. We know these are tough times, but I promise you, you have our support and we will get through this together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister MacKay. And as I said, it was a heavy agenda. There's a lot of updates there, and I know we have a number of media outlets on the phone, so we'll move directly to hear if there's any questions out there.
Wayne Thibodeau, CBC.
Premier King, if I could start with you, you hinted at the beginning of the conversation, but can you tell me how negotiations are going with the federal government, and is Prince Edward Island getting everything it needs from the federal government, or is there something that's on your wish list or on your need list, I should say, that you are not receiving?
Well, thanks for the question, Wayne. As you know, I've been around with previous governments in the past, very familiar with the federal provincial negotiation. These things aren't easy, and you don't always get what you want. I will say this, that the Prime Minister has been very, very open to finding a way through this difficult situation. So those two things in particular that we were looking for, with not having the benefits clawed back, for EI claimants if we were to put some money in their pockets now, and extending the benefits through the Canada Emergency Support Benefit are two things that really I consider really important victories for PEI. I haven't really gotten a no from the Prime Minister. One thing that we have been asking for would be when they roll out some of their programs in pertaining to business, it's much better if they were to do that in Prince Edward Island and Atlantic Canada, if they use the regional funding agencies such as ACOA as opposed to EDC or BDC, simply because more and more of our small and medium enterprises here in PEI would be much more familiar with ACOA, and it would be an easier process for them. But these are the negotiations that continue along the way. But I will say that everything that we have been asking the Prime Minister to consider, I feel like we're getting very serious consideration. And with these two things in particular, as I mentioned, two very significant wins, I would say, for PEI.
Thank you. And just to follow up either for the Premier or Minister MacKay, and I'm sorry, there's a number of programs here, so this may be addressed, but I know we had some discussions earlier about those people who are unemployed, who have lost their jobs completely. They can apply for employment insurance, but that obviously is only giving them 55% of their income. Is the province going to provide additional supports so that they have more of their income coming in?
Take the first part and I'll let Matt finish it, but essentially that's what the minister has indicated. Part of the reason we are doing the partnership here with Sobeys is because when we began the rollout of this package, we weren't sure, we weren't convinced that Ottawa would not claw back the money. So one way around that was to put a gift card of $100 that has some value to people to buy goods and services, etc. That was one way around doing that. Once we were through this process to a certain degree, we didn't want to stop that. So we will be looking in the days ahead of what we could do for short-term top-ups along the way. That's one of the many questions that Islanders have and Canadians have, and we're certainly looking at it, but I'll let Minister MacKay weigh in there as well.
Thank you, Premier, and thank you for the question, Wayne. Certainly, that's what we're working on. Now that we've got indication from the federal government that there will be no clawback, the subcommittee and through my department is working on that now, so that's back on the agenda tomorrow. Hopefully, in the coming days, we're going to be able to roll out what it looks like and try and get money into the pockets of Islanders as soon as we can.
Thank you. Can we just clarify, too, is Sobeys picking up part of the costs of these gift cards?
Thank you, Wayne. Yes, they are. It was a good partnership with Sobeys, and they're looking after 25% of the cost. So what we've initially done, I guess, is we've bought $300,000 in Sobeys gift cards, and we're getting $400,000 worth of gift cards. So Sobeys has been a great partner in this program.
Thank you very much.
Dooney B., The Guardian.
Good evening, everyone. Question for Minister MacKay. I guess just going back to the Emergency Relief Worker Assistance Program. So if it's basically a grant to the employer for $250 a head for each worker, is there a portion of that money that would actually stay with the company? I mean, you mentioned something about it was originally $200 and then a $250 to account for payroll, but does the employer receive part of this money, or is it all supposed to go directly to the worker?
Thank you, Stu. No, it's all supposed to go directly to the worker, so we bumped it up to $250 just because of the deductions that have to come off it. We're getting great uptake in that program as of to date. We've had 75 applications through from the employers, which totals about 750 employees, and we're looking to get about $359,000 out the door. So it's been working quite well for only going out 48 hours ago.
Okay, and is there sort of a target of how much money you hope to disperse through this program?
Thank you, Stu. It's a good question. We don't know how it looks like right now. We've been trying to get as much money out the door as we can. We're going to have a better handle here late in the week how much has gone out so far. But no, we're the main thing right now is we're not so much concerned about the money as to make sure that Islanders have money in their pocket and some food on the table. So that's our number one priority right now.
Okay, and just one last quick thing. So just because I get asked about this a lot, is it like a timeline from sort of today to when checks are sort of arriving at people. What do you envision that to be? A week, 2 weeks?
Thank you, Stu. Yeah, so anywhere from within a couple days to a week. So far, everything's been going pretty well. I'm checking daily with my departments, so I've got the staff at Innovation looking after one program, tourism's looking after another, and skills is looking after another. So so far, everything's been good, and we haven't really seen a lot of holdups. I think by Friday we will have a real good handle on it. But yeah, it's realistically it's only taken 4 or 5, maybe a week tops.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sean McDougall, Eastern Graphic.
Hi, good evening, everyone. First off, Minister Myers, could I just get you to repeat that 1-800 number for Islanders to call? I think I misheard or missed one of the numbers there.
Sure, it's 1-833-533-9333.
Okay, gotcha.
I didn't. It might
so
miss
I was-
enough numbers.
From over the past couple of days, I've been hearing from folks that work as seasonal highway maintenance laborers for the province. They've been pretty worried about getting rehired for this season, as they usually get hired next month. So since construction is an essential service, will seasonal highway maintenance workers be rehired next month?
I guess that's for me. All the recall letters have gone out, Sean. At this point, we're looking at what our operation looks like. We have no intentions of not hiring these people, and while highway maintenance may not seem like an essential service, it absolutely will be as the snowbanks start to melt and the water's running across the road and the ditches need to be dug out and the drains need to be unplugged. We're absolutely going to have an essential service running here the next little while that highway maintenance will be a part of. So I would say to anybody who is at home wondering if they're going to be able to feed their families, you won't have to worry. We have work for you.
Okay. And now, will that extend to other seasonal government jobs in the province?
Well, I can only speak for transportation, so any other question would have to defer to another minister.
Okay. And with the recall letters that were sent out, were they on par with previous years, or has there been an increase or decrease?
No, what recall letters basically is the people who were hired last year are offered the opportunity to have their position back again the next year. So identical number of letters would go out to the number of staff that we would have had last year.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
François-Pierre Dufour, Radio-Canada.
Good evening. My question would be for Minister Myers. I'd just like to get some clarifications on the decision to reopen the liquor store in Charlottetown. Why that store in particular? And do you have a timeline for reopening potentially other stores across the province?
Okay, so this is a limited access that we're creating here. It certainly isn't going to look like it did in the past, where the doors fling open and you can walk in wherever you want. There's going to be a limited number of people in at a time. You're going to go in and tell the staff what you want. They're going to go get it for you. We're asking that people pay by tap, but we're not requiring it. So it's not at all going to look like what it looked like in the past. It's important because of the risk that we have with Islanders who are going through alcohol withdrawal, that we give them the type of access that they need. This isn't a time to be completely cutting them off, and we realized when we made the changes last week out of concern for safety for the customers and the staff that we did limit the access for people in certain areas. So to answer your question, there is a plan to roll this out through other stores across Prince Edward Island, but this limited access is starting in Charlottetown. We're going to see what the next 2 days look like, make sure that it works before we jump to open more. But there are other liquor stores who will be on the list, who will be opened up where there isn't easy access through an agency store, and it'll be based on the model that we're starting here in Charlottetown.
A quick follow-up, if I may, Minister. Are you concerned at all that people that are not on withdrawal, alcohol withdrawal, will also take that opportunity to line up at the stores, and we'll see lineups that we've seen last week when the announcement was made that the stores will be closing?
Well, it's a good question, and it's a good concern to have. We, of course, will have those concerns. We're going to have security there. Social distancing is an absolute must. If we find that people are not following the prescription that's laid out by Dr. Morrison in social distancing, then we'll just close it. It's as simple as that. So people have an option to try to make this work by following what they've been told to do when they're out in public, or we'll just take it away.
Julien Lecarcher, Radio-Canada.
Question to the Premier. Premier, we spoke yesterday about the Magdalene Island. You said to me that you will have a discussion with Premier Legault on this. I would like to know, first of all, if you had this discussion with him and if you decided something about the Magdalene Island and what do you will do with the people from there.
Well, thank you very much for the question. Premier Legault and I have chatted briefly last night, and we've been texting back and forth. Look, we understand that much like Prince Edward Island is dealing with New Brunswick, as we're trying to get our people to come back home, Islanders to come home, whether it's from vacation, from work, from travel, realizing they need to go through another province to get here. So it's the same situation with those trying to get home to the Magdalene Islands. What I've asked, and I continue to ask Premier Legault to do, is to work with us to make sure those who are traveling through Prince Edward Island home to his province of Quebec through Ile de la Madeleine, that they exercise every possible precaution, exercise the social distancing. We also had a request from the local mayor in Surrey, who I talked to today, Joanne Dunphy. She asked if the ferry, which is now running 3 days a week, could possibly run from, instead of running at noon, to run at midnight. And that would alleviate the need for travelers to have to look for accommodation as they wait for the ferry, and limit the number of places where they could go in the area. So that's something that I have put on across the desk of Premier Legault that I hope to hear from. We have to remember, as Dr. Morrison has told us, there are strict measures here in place, but there's also an element of common sense that needs to take place here. If you're driving home from Florida to Prince Edward Island, you have to stop and use the washroom somewhere. You have to stop and get gas. It's the same thing for those who are traveling through Prince Edward Island to get to Quebec. So we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep Islanders safe, of course, and to be as hospitable as possible to those travelers. So I'll keep you updated as we learn more, for sure.
Follow up on this, Premier. So just to be clear, you won't shut down the ferry, if I can say that. It's not in your mind to say that, no, the boat can't go anymore to Surrey. It needs to go to Quebec directly.
Look, what we've been trying to articulate here for a couple of days now, we haven't closed our borders. We're asking people who don't need to travel not to travel. But we also realize that there is some cross-border travel that needs to continue. We need to make sure that our friends in Ile de la Madeleine have access to a supply chain. We have to keep that service rolling. And what we're trying to do is accommodate to the best we can to allow those who are trying to get back home to get through Prince Edward Island to get home. So we're not looking at this time to close down ferry service. That's not at all what we're trying to do, but we are trying to strengthen our message, and we've done that today in conversation with Dr. Morrison. When you come across the ferry, we will be asking you if you're going further, and we will be giving you a sheet in both official languages to make sure you know what your responsibility is until such time as you get home to self-isolate.
Perfect. Thank you.
Laurent Rigaud, La Voix acadienne.
Yes, good evening. I have a question for Minister MacKay. Can you explain to us why is it the employer responsibility to ask for the employee gift card program, please?
Thank you for the question. We felt it was easier that way, so we have a lot of employers that have access to all the information of the employees. So we've got companies that have laid, 15, 20 people off that would have all the apps. So it would save up paperwork, it would speed up our process. And from talking to the employers, a lot of the employers felt that it meant more coming from them because everybody's facing some tough times too, and they want to make sure that their employees are looked after and being treated well. So that's the reason we decided to go that way.
Just a follow-up, does it mean that for the laid-off employees, they have to ask their former employers to do it for them?
Not necessarily. So our staff is working communications through all employers now across P.E.I. We're trying to get the message out there through the social media and our web as well. Employees can certainly feel free to contact their employers for this, but I think just with communication, we're going to be able to cover a lot of that ground. So I don't foresee any issue, and if there is, we'll deal with it accordingly.
We'll open it to general questions. Questions générales.
All right, well, it sounds like that's all the questions for tonight, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in again tonight, and I want to thank all the media for the great questions, and I want to thank the Premier and Minister MacKay for coming out tonight to make these announcements, and good night all, and stay safe.